So, I've been wanting to do this video for some time now. I'm going to talk about my story of salvation. And hold on, let me show you something. Look at this. We have goats. Oh yeah. What's that? Is that you, buddy? Huh? Yeah, that's you. So, my story of salvation is kind of a complicated one, and my channel is small. I only have 3,000 subscribers, but if you want, put this on, 1 times 5 and rock it through it, because I'm not gonna speak very fast because this is a lot. But anyways, it's starting to rain, so I'm gonna probably go in here and talk about it. But those of you who know me, I don't talk about it much, but in some of my videos where it applies and it's significant, I do. When I was 20 years old, I joined the Army. And I joined the Army as a combat medic. Now, I didn't agree with the war in Iraq. I thought, because it's, opium and oil were the reasons why we went to Iraq and Afghanistan. Afghanistan, I had buddies literally guarding fields of opium. So big pharma, the whole opiate crisis and all of that. But I joined the Army. And I'll get to why this is significant for my faith. But I joined the Army as a combat medic, and I went to combat medic school in Fort Sam Houston, San Antonio. First, I went to basic training at Fort Knox. I deployed twice to Iraq, Baghdad. Excuse me, I'm walking around the farm, and there's animals around and stuff like that. But I wanted to get this out because one thing that's very important that if you follow my channel and you want to follow me, the number one thing in my life is Christ. And I want to say I put Christ before everybody. Now some say, wow, you don't put your wife first? That's kind of bad. Well, if you think about it, if you put a human before Jesus Christ, what's to say that you're not going to put another human before Jesus? Like, cheat on your spouse. And that's the thing. When you have Christ as your number one, and your faith is the most important, your wife, who is number two, will not suffer from infidelity. And that's the thing. Your morals have to be number one. And Christ and his commandments, he said, if you love me, you will follow my commandments. That's my number one. My number two is my wife. And number three, everyone else. No, honestly, I love my wife so much. And anyways, but I joined the Army. And I deployed twice to Iraq. Now, I'm not going to talk about the stuff that happened there. I was a combat medic. You could kind of assume and understand what happened. When I got out, it was 2012. And I felt dead inside. I couldn't cry. When Sandy Hook happened in December, I got out in May, and Sandy Hook happened in December. I was like, wow, that sucks, but there was something missing. It was almost like, my heart was hardened. I saw so much death, and I was able to save lives. I was able to save the lives of soldiers and of Iraqi nationals. But something happens when you see the life leave somebody. And it literally, like, life leaves the person's eyes. I couldn't look at somebody in the eye. I went through a lot of classes, I went through a lot of therapy, and I couldn't, myself was just, it was really bad. Then an event happened. So I was driving my car, and I want to set this up right because I want you to understand the significance. I was driving my car, and I forget what it was. I don't know if it was like a Hyundai or a Toyota Corolla or something like that. One of those, it was a blue, like, everyday car. And the thing about it was that the passenger side had no music, had no stereo, didn't work. Hadn't worked since I got it. And my buddy looked at it and said, yeah, it's the wiring, the woofers, the sound system. It's not going to work unless you change it. So then I was driving. And I was listening to my favorite country artist at the time. This was back in 2013, 2014. And I was listening to a country artist named Brantley Gilbert. And this song called My Faith in You came on. And I started to feel a stirring. Then all of a sudden, when the chorus hit, and it says, I could lose my faith in friends that come and go. Yeah, they say they'll be there when you need them. They say that when you don't. I could lose all of my heroes. I could let myself down too. But something to the effect of, I don't know what I would do if I lost my faith in you. And he's talking about Christ, Jesus. When that chorus hit, that stereo that was not functioning came on. And I felt, for the first time, my heart was softened. And I cried. It was one of the most significant moments of my life. I had to pull over. And I'm not going to embellish the story and say that I saw Christ or anything like that, but it was one of those things where I knew he was there. You know when someone's watching you, you can feel it. Isn't it strange how, we'll be across the room and we can see when somebody's staring at us. Now, if you think about it as a human, that shouldn't be possible because literally the pupil is moving millimeters, right? This always got me. If the pupil moves like a millimeter to the right or even smaller, they're looking at something totally different. But we as humans can tell when that pupil is directly on us. It's a feeling that we have. Christ was with me that day and every day since. This was when leading up to this moment, I was an atheist. I should have explained this first, but I was a militant atheist and I attacked Christians online. And I said, you know what? If God is real, I'm going to prove that he doesn't exist. Or if people are saying he is real, I'm going to prove he doesn't exist. So for 2 years, I went on a campaign. And I didn't look for the Abrahamic religions. I didn't look for, anything. I was just looking at the evidence. And one thing that got me was the whole idea of evolution. They say that we evolved slowly over time, and when something came up and we didn't need it, then we lost it, like a vestigial tail or something. This doesn't make sense to me. The slowly, how can an eye, which needs to have all the parts there to work properly, what part of the eye was there and it said, you know what, I'm going to create this part and this part and this part and this part and this part. It wasn't functioning, but it was slowly creating it. That doesn't make sense. And then finally, after all this, it finally got to that point where the eye worked and all of the, components worked. It just doesn't make sense to me. Also, our nervous system. Right now I'm going through pain in my jaw. But if you think about it, our nervous system doesn't make sense. We have pain because it makes sense as a creator to create it. We have pain so we know something is wrong. Now, there are things and illnesses where it's not painful, so, we have to get checked and stuff like that. But most of the things, like if we have a broken leg, we know it. If we have something wrong with our teeth, we know it. And it's because of our nervous system. Why would our nervous system just gradually exist? Why would we need that? Does the literal evolution of the environment know that we need to feel pain because something? No, that's something that a creator would do. The creation is all around us. And here's the thing. The creation is so significant that we have New Agers and Wiccans and pagans who worship who worship the creation, not the creator. Anyways, this 2 years, I tried to prove God didn't exist, and I failed. Instead, I proved to myself that he did. And then a month after that, that's when the whole car thing happened. Now, one thing I will say is I don't go to church. My wife and I don't go to church often, but we read the Bible. And there's so much going on in our world. We have the election that's coming up. If you watch this, years from now, you'd be like, oh yeah, he doesn't know what's going to happen in the election. Well, we kind of know, but, I'm not going to talk about that, though. There's so much corruption in the church. And when I say the church, I mean the big institutions, the leadership of the papacy, Catholics, I love Catholics because I have a lot of Catholic friends and family that are Catholic. But the leadership is, some of those priests are doing horrible things, and then, they shuffle them to different churches and all of that, and it's crazy. Where am I going with this? I think that we are getting ready to see Christ come. I think it's almost time. And I pray that all of you find him. I found him a long time ago. It will be 11 years now. And the only thing, I literally have no fear because I know that he is there and he's coming. I do think that there's going to be unrest. I think that there could be a civil war in America. A second one. It's raining, so I've got to kind of shield this. But If you get one thing from this video, and if you're still watching, thank you. If you get one thing from it, just know that if you turn to God and you try to get to Him, He'll answer. He will. There's a great documentary, David Wood, why a psychopath becomes a Christian or something like that. It's an amazing story. Right now, I am going to a very large university. It's a state university, and I'm going to be a therapist, a psychologist. Right now, I'm getting ready to graduate with my bachelor degree, and then I'm going to be headed to a master program. Christ is everywhere. There are believers everywhere. In the places that you think that there aren't, there are. Even if we have to whisper in the halls because, people get offended. I don't whisper. I proudly talk about it. But there are some people who are like, for example, at the VA, the Veterans Hospital, a lot of people don't like to talk about their faith because they think that they'll get fired or something like that. And anyways, that was my experience. This is now 16 minutes and 22 seconds. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to start doing more videos. I have a friend. I'm not going to shout his channel out because, some of my content is political and I don't want to get him wrapped up in it, but he started like 6 months ago or something, and now he has 3 times the amount of, or almost 4 times the amount of followers that I do. And I think it's awesome, I would appreciate if you all subscribed and start watching me. This might only get like 9 views, who knows, but this is my story. And if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. God bless, and I love you all.